Hello folks and welcome to InkDependence.com. This is a brief video review and water drop test, this time of Franklin Christoph's writing fluid Brown 732. This is my favorite, well, one of my like three favorites, I guess. I'm not good at superlatives sometimes. One of my three favorite inks from this collection. You can see there, this is a sort of a nice, rich, nutty brown. It's not going to be nearly as dark as the dark chocolate that we've already seen on the blog. If you haven't seen that one, go check it out. Definitely worth checking out. But Brown 732 is a more brown. This is the bottle it comes in. Nice glass bottle, hand bottled in their facility in Raleigh, North Carolina. So there you go, writing fluid number 732. Alright, so here is the swatch. I actually did this with my finger outdoors when I was taking pictures for the blog because I realized I hadn't swatched it yet. Sometimes I swatch it last just because it tends to wrinkle up the paper a little bit sometimes. Even with Rhodia, you throw enough liquid on there, it'll wrinkle a little bit. So I sort of forgot to do that, but this is a pretty faithful swatch. It's a little bit lighter here because it's thinner, but in a pen, man, it looks great. This is a good looking ink. I had this ink in two pens, as I've been doing usually, or lately. One is this Faber-Castell Basic Medium, which has got a fairly wet nib. The medium nibs from Faber-Castell are pretty, they're a little bit wide and they're a little bit wet. Those are two things you can expect. But they're also extra smooth, so really good nibs. And then on the other side, I've got it in my Franklin Christoph 27, which is this guy right here. This is one of my most favorite pens. I got this one a long time ago. I don't know, several years anyway, and I really like it. This is a broad cursive italic, which is a great nib from them. If you haven't tried a cursive italic, get one from them. They're all done by Mike Masuyama, and they're all fantastic. So there's that. It's worth the extra cost, faux show. All right, so as you can see here, this is, I say it's got perfect flow, because it totally does. Even with both of these pens, I think it flows perfectly. It's a little bit wetter, of course, in the Faber-Castell, but you can still definitely tell that it's a brown. There's no confusion there. This isn't as dark as the dark chocolate one is. This has got more shading than the other one does. Still no sheen, not a sheeny ink, but that's okay. Not everything needs to be sheeny, and not everybody likes sheen, so there you go. I say it's got minimal dotting on the 20-pound paper. Here's the 20-pound sample right here. You'll see more pictures of this, of course, on the blog. And you can tell that with this paper that's more absorbent, it's definitely more brown than it is on the Rhodia. The Rhodia makes it look a lot darker than it really is in this ink's case. Not always the case, but for this one, yeah, it is. This one's definitely a brown. So if you work in a place or take notes or you feel like you need to have like serious colors going on, this is not going to necessarily work for you. I don't know if browns are acceptable, but if you want a brown ink, this is a great ink. I love browns. I know I'm a little bit weird there, but nonetheless I do. And here's the back end of that writing sample, and you can see there are a few dots coming through, but not much. Not much at all. This Franklin Christoph nib is a little bit wet because it's the broad and that sort of thing. This is a little bit maybe on the wettish side, I would guess, but not much. It's pretty much medium middle of the road. So a few dots coming through on this 20-pound paper, but if you write, well, I don't know, heck, I'd use the back side of this paper. I don't really care. It's fine. Not bad at all. Feathering, I don't know, I see a couple little feathers, but you know, not much. Maybe a few, and only because I'm looking really closely. Anyway, so works pretty well on that paper. I'm not surprised. I kind of wrote a little bit with this one, just kind of like writing with this ink. It makes me want to write stuff. And I say, look, we don't always need to be as formal as dark chocolate is. We don't always have to have a black. We sometimes just get to have fun and just have a brown ink. So anyway, this is a really great brown ink. I can't say that. I guess I have said that enough. Probably you're sick of hearing it, but one more time, good ink. All right, here's it compared to some other things. We've got there right underneath it the dark chocolate, which is looking really dark. You can barely tell it's brown on this this particular swatch. Sailor Doyu, which I showed before, which is kind of a brownish black. And you've got Alamo's Twilight, which is kind of a reddish brown. And then at the bottom, Stormy Gray, just for funsies. Where's that Sparkle Pony sparkle action? Yeah, you can see it a bit in the scribble, and those gold streaks. Anyway, so there's that. I should review Stormy Gray one of these days, but I think everybody kind of knows what it is by this point, so it's kind of been holding back. Anyway, let's see how this behaves with water. The rest of the inks in this collection have not been particularly waterproof, but one never knows. Come on, without water. Uh-oh, yep, hang on, hold on a second. I'll suck up a little more water out of here. Alright, there we go. And there we go. Now I've got some water. There. Alright, thank goodness. Alright, so brown ink swirling away, but it doesn't look like it's doing as badly as some of the other ones have. We'll have to see. This up here looks pretty gnarly, so swab that away. And yeah, not water resistant. Not even a little bit. There's barely anything left. Maybe there it is, all brown stain. So yeah, not going to be water resistant. Much like the rest of this collection, they're not really doing water resistance in these inks, and that's fine. But it is a thing to know. If you pour coffee on this one, man, you might just lose your whole shebang. So great looking ink, but don't get it near water. It does not play well. All right, here is the chromatography for this one. All right. So here we go. This is down here is where I put the ink blob, of course, and then it all scooches up the page real well. There's a little bit of this bright blue up here around the corners of this one as well, just like on some of the other browns we've seen. And look, if you're an ink maker and you haven't told me already, please tell me why there's blue in this brown. Maybe that's just a component that it needs, but it's not as dark a blue streak as some of the other browns, but it's in there. And then kind of like dark bits in the middle, but this kind of nice nutty color in here is what you're really getting most of the time. Alright, so that is Brown 732. I am Mike. This is Ink Dependence, and this wraps up our Franklin Christoph series. I've done all the inks, I think. Well, they've got a blue and a black I actually haven't tried yet. Maybe one of these days. Blue 72, and then I don't remember what the black is called. Black or something. So, anyway, those I haven't done yet, but I also don't have them, so maybe one day. Maybe they'll just show up in my mail. You never know, Scott. Thanks very much to Scott from Franklin Christoph for sending these out for me to review. Really appreciated that, and I really like doing this set. They're inks I'm going to use for a long time. And they're inks that everybody should check out. So do check these out. Go to franklin-christoph.com to get your own set of these inks. They are $12.50 a bottle for 59 mils. That's about 2 ounces. So it's not quite as big as a Noodler's bottle, but still pretty darn big. Good value for that ink, and it's an excellent ink, so try that out. Also, if you like what I'm doing here at Ink Dependence, go over to patreon.com/inkdependence to figure out how you can help support the blog. Here's a hint. It's by giving me money. I do spend a little bit of money on this blog, despite the fact that I've been given a bunch of things recently to try out and to review. Man, every bit that y'all donate really helps out. It's just, I mean, even it's just like camera gear and hosting and gas money for going to shows and that sort of jazz. I really appreciate all those things that y'all are hooking me up with, patrons. Thanks very much, patrons, and thanks very much, future patrons. All right, this is Mike, and Ink Dependence, out.